Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talking with the Dad. We're continuing on our UFC 249 follow-up. We've been following this case very closely for you guys as your relevant news channel on YouTube here. Also, we have some sad news about the current political race we're going to get into a little bit later. Steve, UFC 249, still on, still happening. Announced today where it's going to be, the Tachi Palace Casino in California.
Yes, I believe that's on a native reservation.
It is. California State Athletic Commission not going to be involved whatsoever.
Oh, sorry.
We're gonna have to get our own judges. It might be fair. Finally, we're gonna have to get our own officiating. Everything. I wonder who the ref's gonna be. They confirmed Rogan was gonna be there. Big news coming out that we're actually get a time and a place to see the Sierra Mista fights. I'm gonna follow up on our joke there. So,
you know, it's great. A couple of quick questions before you give us your breakdown. Because Zach made some uncanny predictions about this card, but I'm not going to steal his thunder. But if you go back about, what was it, 4 episodes now?
4 or 5 videos ago, something like that. We talked about it.
He made some good predictions. I just want to ask you quick questions. And for context for the people, I am a fight aficionado, but I am more about the fighting itself. And I'm more about the je ne sais quoi of fighting. I appreciate all that.
Yeah, the
Zach,
je ne sais quoi.
What makes us a good duo is Zach is he is my not I'm Joe Rogan and you're not that other guy Goldie. You're the guy that the UFC fired for no reason that came over from
Jimmy
Bellator.
Smith.
Yay!
The Joe Rogan wannabe, as I like to call him. The guy looks exactly the same as Joe Rogan. I've always been told I had a voice for radio, so I guess I could do it.
And the face and the spirit for radio
and the
as well.
face. Yes, I've been told that recently as well.
So Zach, how did you do it? How did you predict it? Listen, the nose, man. I was looking at my nose on the videos and I was like, this thing is in every shot.
So did I actually say that it would be on Native American reservation? Because I thought I had said that at one point, but I might just be stealing
you've
that
been
from
drinking. You'd been drinking a lot. And you called me. It was 4 a.m. I was like, I didn't believe it.
Every night after I drink, when I get up in the morning, I check my phone calls and see who I call. Steve's never seemingly on the list. It's always some weird phone calls that I have to make. But I did at one point think that it was going to be on a boat in international waters. Obviously, you can't fight on a boat because of the waves, right? So it'd be kind of unfair. But so we're going to get on Native American land, a casino that has been closed down since like the beginning of March, right before March, something like that, due to the ongoing pandemic. So it's about as safe as can be right now. If there's no one in there, there's no chance of it getting spread in there. There's also, if it was in there at one point, it would have died off by now. It doesn't live that long outside of a human host. So we're getting it without proper officials, without proper, I guess, drug testing or weigh-ins. Obviously, the UFC will do it, but without all the propers. But we're getting it. I don't know how I predicted it. I was just probably drunk and making fun of the situation, but we're getting it. Also, same vein, and this is where Steve kind of wanted to go with this as well. Dana is securing a private island so we can have the international fighters. Obviously, we can't get international fighters into the U.S., but
pause. I want you at this moment to cut in the villain from Enter the Dragon, classic Bruce Lee film, who also had his own private island where he hosted fights at. Continue.
Yes, that's the movie that Balls of Fury is based on, right?
Yes,
it's so funny. Yeah. So here we are going to fight on an island. Now, the major concern with fighting on an island, I think Steve had brought this up at the time when I said this, is that there's not going to be any hospital nearby, right? You're putting potential lives at risk if something bad happens. Obviously, you'd hire medical staff, but that's where we're going now. From what I saw, Dana White booked out this casino for 2 months. Just booked it out for 2 months. Well, they don't have any business, so it's probably not that hard, right? If the casinos were to open again, that contract might be void, right? Because I'm assuming then he would be able to do it wherever, right? Public gatherings are back on. That's a major thing of casinos. So we're gonna get fights for the next 2-ish months. International fighters can go on Fight Island. Everyone in the U.S. can go to this casino. You know what's crazy about this, and I saw this, it is almost directly halfway in between where Khabib trains and where Tony Ferguson lives. We could have had this fight.
Oh, you're talking about the casino? Yes.
The casino. We could have had this fight if Khabib didn't flee to Russia.
All right, follow-up questions because I'm putting the expert hat on you because you've been paying more
Whoa.
attention to you've been paying attention to a lot
Whoa.
more things. Well,
I
your
don't
Twitter
have a,
game,
I looked for a hat.
Twitter game is black belt level here.
I
Let me ask you a
immediately
question.
looked for a hat to put on. I didn't.
Why
have one.
was Khabib in Russia? Can you explain that to me?
Khabib left the U.S. because he was told that the fights were going to be in Abu Dhabi. This is all hearsay.
All right.
So he goes to Abu Dhabi, and Abu Dhabi's like, we're like 2 weeks out from shutting our doors, right? No one in, no one out. So he flies to Russia, figuring that there's very low case amount in Russia, very low risk in Russia, that he'd be able to train and then be able to fly out of Russia to get wherever the fight was going to be.
All right.
And they didn't announce a location until what? Today. So if he didn't have a location, he couldn't go anywhere to get out of Russia before they were closing. So he got stuck in Russia. That's why we're not having it.
All right, so no shady business going on there. It is a shame because you almost wish there was forethought. Like, could they have done this and had this secure? But I know there's a lot of red tape that had to be jumped through.
Yeah.
Who knows how many people were greased to pay this movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, probably everybody from as far as I can imagine. Everyone was greased up, going both ways through the door, elbows touching. Everyone's 6 feet apart. Like,
what do you think? So, any other breaking news with 249?
Rose Namajunas pulled out. That was very recently. Undisclosed reasons out of the fight against Jessica Andrade, the rematch, I believe.
Yes.
So that's sad. Honestly, what I hope they do is bump Francis and Rosenstruik up onto the main card because they're on the prelim. They're not even on the main card here. So that's kind of the UFC 249 news. At least they'll be near a hospital. That's a positive if they even let them in, to be honest, right at the moment. I don't think California's hit that hard, but probably third or fourth most in the U.S. We're kind of desensitized to it being where we are.
Yeah.
Everyone else is kind of just a,
So this is what I think can happen. I learned this from my rave days, going to raves in Baltimore. I used to go to things called Massives, right?
In
so obviously
Baltimore? Hold on a second. Actually, out of all of the sketchy places you've been, Baltimore is probably number one.
I thought I was in Afghanistan for a second.
I've also been near Citi Field in Queens. They cut city funding to that area. It's bad. Yeah. So very similar.
But so here's the thing, right? So I'm thinking this is I gotta say this is conjecture on the biggest part. Please, trolls, don't come for me. But I do know
we appreciate the comments recently, boys.
You can rent and hire EMS to come to certain areas, and the type of injuries you typically see at a UFC fight, they don't get transported to the hospital unless it's concussions or it's possible breaking bones. So I'm hoping what's not going to happen here is we start doing field medicine, right? And fighters
we need someone on staff, and I think the UFC has a pretty good medical staff on the books anyway, coming from the UFC PI, which is honestly is just where I wish this all would have taken place, was at the UFC Apex, where they do the Contender Series.
Ultimate Fighter and Contender,
I wish that would have happened there. Obviously, Las Vegas banned, not outlawed, but banned all combat sports until a non-disclosed date. That's where the ideal location would have been, to be honest. But where we sit right now, I'm happy that the fights are happening. I think we've talked about this ad nauseum at this point. We're happy the fights are happening. We're gonna be, socially distanced away. We're not gonna be together to watch the fights, probably for the first time in a while, honestly.
I'm still gonna have my wife cook the same amount of food.
Yeah. So just no, just mail it. I'm gonna need you to mail it here. Just overnight it.
There's some rancid chicken in the mailbox. I think one of your exes is threatening you.
Not again.
Speaking of overcooked things that are dead and in mailboxes, Bernie Sanders has pulled out.
Not a good transition. I'm usually the transition guy. I was gonna away from that. I was gonna lead into the new graphics that we had, and note that the new graphics is a big change going on, and then let everyone know that Joe Biden is our Democratic nominee for the race.
You're Democrat. So new graphics, they look really good, by the way. Zach put a lot of time into it, and I'm impressed. We're growing as a channel. Anyone that knows, we did the pivot, and we're doing a bunch of other things too to try to bring you the best content and also make it visually good looking. And we just want to, if you get a chance, thank Zach for that, man. Send him some love.
No, don't thank me. Don't thank me. Just hit the subscribe button. Like, Steve just dropped something. Leave us in the comments down below. Share it with your friends. Valorant video looks like it's doing pretty well. Thanks everyone for watching that. I hope you guys liked
your gameplay. Was good there. You downplayed a little bit. You got some nice kills in it.
It wasn't. That was the early part of it. That was the best part of the game. So okay. I kind of just included the highlights there, which was the first like 4 or 5 rounds, I think.
Plus, hey, Doc said the game's kind of stiff. Did it feel stiff to you?
No. So Doc doesn't know. So Doc probably came into it thinking that it was going to be Overwatch movement with Counter-Strike mechanics, where it's Counter-Strike mechanics and movement with Overwatch abilities in it. So that's my thought on it. Is it's very Counter-Strike like movement. So if you like the Counter-Strike movement and you understand how that works, you do well in Valorant. So. Actually,
when we played CS, I gotta be honest with you, that was the most fun I've ever had playing games with you. Rocket League was actually.
Well, I was about to say more than Rocket League. That was fun. I wish I'd recorded that. I've never heard Steve be so happy in my entire life.
I'm an awkward laugh when I'm having like. Ah!
It's true. It's true. All right, let's get into some non-funny topics. Politics, political banter. Bernie Sanders today announced that he is pulling out of the race. Didn't get enough delegates on Super Tuesday.
Short by 300, being beat by 300.
A significant margin. Honestly, Warren staying in it that long really screwed him. Really split the vote there. The DNC is going to screw him because he has socialist tendencies.
Right.
I thought Bernie on that side was the best candidate to come and dethrone Trump at this point. But as it sits currently, Biden's going to lose all of the debates, and he's probably going to get killed by a landslide, I would think.
So this is all just opinion that's been pulled together, right, by a bunch of different news sites. And then there's some data to go with it. So Bernie did not do as well against someone who wasn't Hillary Clinton, right? And there are a bunch of other factors that go into that. It's either that Bernie's message was more received last time around, or what's more likely is that Hillary Clinton is disliked that much, and we overlook at how much people disliked her. I would like to think there's a happy medium. Also, I don't think that Bernie did really well in the Latino communities. Like he did extremely well. Did not do this well. Didn't do that great in the African American communities, especially in older generations of African Americans.
I think I have an answer for you on that one, though. Biden was Obama's vice president.
Right.
That has to help. Right. That has to help. I can't imagine that hurts him very much. That's why he did so well in South Carolina, I believe.
Then also, so Biden's got a long standing history down there, and he was going to do well. I just don't think people were ready for the message. Like I said, I don't agree with most things Bernie says, but I agree with his passion about the things he says, right? I really do believe that he is a man of principle, even if they are his principles. And so what's going to happen now? This is just Steve's prediction. We will see the Democratic Party and the Progressive Party, which I've identified as 2 different parties now, continue to split. That chasm will continue to grow. And then, because even though Bernie has outright said, we got to do whatever we can to keep Trump from being reelected, he also made it very important. Make sure you're looking at the policies versus the personalities as well. He wanted Trump out, but he wanted to make sure policies were still being handled.
Sure.
And so that message in your generation has reverberated extremely well to people who are saying, I will not toe the line any longer for the Democratic Party. We'll see how that turns out for the actual election. But if you're to believe the general consensus right now going on out there, a lot of young people, very disenfranchised, very upset, not at Bernie for pulling out, upset with the establishment and the established quo of things, how things are moving. How do you feel about it, Zach?
As much as I like to talk about politics, I really don't follow them as close as I honestly should. Realistically, I could be a one issue voter. Generally would be more than one. I'd like to see weed legalized across the nation, just because I think it would help a lot of people turn around their lives. There's a lot of people sitting in prison right now for non-violent drug crimes for selling weed that could easily get out and get their record expunged and would turn their lives around. I see that as a huge issue. But my one policy voting would be if there was a candidate that ran on municipalizing, I think that's a word, or local. I want to say localizing, giving the internet ability and internet capabilities to the government, right?
Okay.
We saw this issue during the pandemic, as you see a lot of internet slowing down because now everyone is home, right? I believe if it was under the same line that power is or running water is, right? Because everyone has power and running water, right? If internet was the same way and that it was mandatory that every household in the country had it, we would have much bigger pipes going around the country of internet, and we'd all probably have gig internet. Sweden, Norway, a lot of the progressive countries over in Europe have this municipalized internet system that is all gig internet because they were like, all right, whatever, if we're going to do it, let's just run fiber so we don't have to touch it again for 30 years, right? Because fiber can scale upwards of 10 gig or 100 gig, I believe. So why don't we do it that way? That would be my one policy. If there was a candidate that ran on that with that in his platform, that would be my candidate. No one has done that yet. We'll probably have another 20 years before that to take effect. Once of these 50 to 70 year olds kind of move up and out, or we get someone like a Buttigieg who comes in and can run on that kind of platform because he is, in between our ages, I believe. Or actually might be slightly older than you.
Buttigieg, really?
Yeah, he was close to your age, I think.
Okay.
Because you have to be at least 35, so it'd be really hard to get in between, 35 and where you are. So that would be my one. But honestly, at the moment, I thought Bernie had the best heart and the best intent for the nation. But that didn't work out, obviously. So we'll see where it goes. I'll watch the debates coming up. I just want to see Joe Biden get embarrassed,
demolished
at this point. Don't like Trump, but he's probably the worst of the two, or better of the two evils at this point, other than a man with dementia.
Man, I was slow to the race on that one. Like I thought people were just being more like petty. But when I kind of stepped aside and looked at it, I was like, oh man, he's cognitively, he is kind of falling a step behind.
I would think.
I think that so Bernie did say a few things that I agreed with, man. Like the environment's a huge issue for me, being a parent, and so I don't know why this always surprises people because of my worldview. But it's like I want to leave my kids something, and I believe that's good stewardship, taking care of the gift that's being left behind. Like you said before, a lot of my views changed when my first child was born. I was like, whoa.
It happens to everybody.
Like, let's slow down here. Like, I want to make sure there's something to leave behind. I want to protect him. Like, I was never one for gun ownership, but like I was telling you the other night, the thought of not being able to protect my family drastically made me change my views on that. So Bernie, the environment issue was something. I would disagree with a lot of my friends who are probably going to roast me right now, but I do believe that healthcare should be affordable and should be available to all, right? And I don't think you should have to pay thousands of dollars for one ER visit, or let alone an EMS ride. Like I would need to see some audits on why these bills are so high before I would just sign off on that. The next thing is I do legalization of marijuana for medicinal purposes, as long as it's what you do in your house is your own business. So I would say
there's a difference here, though. You said medicinal purposes. Right?
Wait. I was gonna quantify that.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. If you're gonna do it for recreational purposes and whatever you do in your home is your private domain, I would also want to see more funding go into treatment. And I believe Bernie was along those lines. Like we can't just open the floodgates on this and not have it available, because we don't want to go through a situation where people are now ditching their serious meds for medicinal weed, right? And you don't want to have people recreationally, because if 3 out of 5 people can handle doing that on a recreational basis, there's going to be those 2 people that can't, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So I would just want to see, as long as the policies have a contingency, I'm always all for it. Obviously, there are views that he had that I will not bring into our channel because we don't need that type of smoke here. I don't want to bring that type of stuff here. But I love his heart, man. I genuinely liked that old man's, and I say old man with the utmost respect, like elder statesman. Like the man literally had so many times where he could have ripped Joe Biden apart on past policies, current policies, fumbles.
Yep.
And he just said, you know what? I'm going to take the high road and I'm going to debate the issue, right? I think he took one real jab at him in the last what has now become the memeable, all right, America, go to the YouTube and look up. I wish we had a horn or something though to send them off. What do you think happens to all his followers? You think they're going to go? You think they're going to show up for Biden?
No, I don't think they're going to vote. Here's the issue is that he has a young following. Notoriously, 18 to 25 will go out and go to the rallies and do the road work, but won't go to the polls and vote. right?
Yeah.
You see a very low turnout in every state that he lost. And that's the reason why he didn't win most of those states, and the reason why he wouldn't have won an election, because you can't get people 18 to 25, 18 to 30 to go out and vote. So
you were going to go out and vote, though. I know that.
I voted in the last election.
Yeah, good for you, man. Zach, it's Wednesday. That means it's one more day away from what? Full episode of Talking with a Dad.
Yes,
maybe?
sir. I had no idea where you were going with that. We've been pumping out videos this week, and really my days have really been struck down to yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So I have to keep a calendar now. But hey, listen, thanks everyone for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the new graphics. It was a little bit easier to look at for you, other than our old dull purple stuff. Guys, have any suggestions for it? Leave them down in the comments. Any topics you guys want us to talk about? Leave them down in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave some comments, and share it with your mom. Show your mom this. This is good content.
Let us in your house.
Have a good night.